So, there's a good chance you've just picked up Stellaris in the 2.0 version now that it has been released, or that you've come back after a brief hiatus as the 1.0 and future releases were coming along and you may have lost your attention. Well, now that 2.0 has been released and we've had some time to take it all in and let it all sink in, and now it's time to learn and teach those learnings to you guys out there to figure out how to play this game and how to properly establish yourself within the context of the game. And we're going to take it really slow today. We're going to take the first few years of the game and what you need to do to establish yourself as a decent empire. Now, we're on the main menu already. There's a couple of things that we can take a look at here. We've got this gorgeous background. It's not really important. We're going to go to a new game. Now, very important when you start your new game. Of course, you have the option to go for a random empire or a new empire. This is not important. The developers have been so kind to give us access to a bunch of preset empires, the United Nations of Earth and the Commonwealth of Man. And these two will guide us through the process of learning, and that's what's important. So let's play as the United Nations of Earth. It's a standard setup. It's very straightforward and will allow us to go through the game and learn the basics and basically get our heads around the game. Now, as soon as we've selected the United Nations of Earth, we can go and take a look at them. They've got a couple of civics. It's not really important to take a look at this. We're going to go and take a look at the game in general and what happens here. We can go into civics later, as well as the ethics that are attached to our species. So let's go to select, and we get to the game details screen. Now, there is a couple of things here that we need to do to make sure that our game is relatively easy to get into and to orientate ourselves on what is going on. So our galaxy size is very straightforward, is the size of the galaxy. If you have a mid-end PC, specifically a mid-range CPU, I highly recommend playing on medium or lower. The game does tend to slow down in the late game. Galaxy shape, I generally like to play on spiral, mainly because it allows for a lot more flexibility when it comes to setting up your empire and in what directions you can expand into. You, of course, have the options to go for elliptical as well, and that basically means that you're being put down into the middle of something, or basically a galaxy, where you can expand in every single direction, but it also means you can get attacked in every single direction. Just so for the fact of keeping it easy and keeping it safe, let's go for a 4-arm spiral galaxy. 11 empires is perfectly fine. If we go with this little button here, it generates a random amount, so you never really know if it's going to be 11. Advanced starts, let's turn that off completely. Advanced AI starts, they may mess you up in the early game, especially if you spawn next to them. Fallen empires, we can basically keep that at 3. They don't really impact the game until very, very late and is not really all that important. Marauder Empires, for the sake of ease, let's turn this off because this is a apocalypse feature, which is one of the expansions. Then we have the tradition and tech costs. Normally this is set to 1.0. I would highly recommend, if this is your first time playing, to turn this down all the way to 0.25, because then you will be able to get through the different mechanics a lot easier than you normally would. The cost of technology is a lot lower, the cost of traditions are a lot lower, and this will allow us to be relatively flexible in the early game and get the maximum amount of time with the game, basically when it comes to playing it. And then we have Habitable Worlds. Let's set that to 1.5 is fine. That's basically the amount of worlds that will spawn that are habitable. Primitive civilizations, you don't necessarily have to play around with that all that much. Crisis strength, let's set that down to 0.5. If you decide to take your first playthrough and go all the way through it, this will come into effect, and they can become extremely powerful. It goes all the way up to 5.0, and we really do not want to be run over by them. So having an easy experience with them early on with the 0.5 is a lot easier. The mid-game start and end-game start, let's not touch that at all. 2300 is about 100 years into the game, and the end-game, 2400, is 200 years into the game. That's fine. AI aggressiveness, it goes to normal. Normal is fine. If you set it to low, there is not a lot of stuff that goes on politically within the galaxy, so that is something you want to keep off. Difficulty, it goes from normal to hard to very hard to insane. So there's no easy mode, so normal is fine. Empire placement, random. Advanced neighbors, well, we don't have any advanced neighbors. Hypername density, let's set that to 1. Let's keep things tactical. Abandoned gateways and wormhole pairs, that is something for the 2.0 build. Sometimes a gateway or a wormhole will spawn within your space that will allow you to go somewhere completely else. Iron Man mode, if you want to play with achievements, just be aware that you will not be able to save or basically roll back your save to a point where you're happy with it. So let's go into the game. Let's start things and go through our first years in Stellaris. We're always immediately greeted with this screen. It's just a bunch of text blurb. It's not really important. It's just a general overview of our empire, where we came from, who our ruler is, etc., as well as our traits. Oh my, we are wasteful, so that is unfortunate. But let's begin. So, the very first thing you will see is our solar system. As the United Nations of Earth, you will spawn in the actual solar system. So there's Earth, there is the star, Sol, depends on which culture you're from, what the name of it is, the various planets, etc. Now you will see that we already have a couple of resources tapped into, which is great. Not really important for us right now, we'll get into that later. So we can hit M or hit this little button right here to go to the galaxy map, just to orientate ourselves of where we are. Now, with 2.0, there's only one type of faster-than-light travel, which is a point-to-point travel mode, which is called Hyperdrive. Now, Hyperdrive means that the entire game is a far more tactical/strategic thing, where you need to control certain areas in space to generate choke nodes. Now, with our initial spawn right here, we already have 2 very interesting choke nodes right off the bat. We've got this space right here, which is the only southern entrance into our space. This little system right here, or this system, depending on how you want to do it, is the only entrance from this side into our space. So in general, only the north is going to be a problem. So there's a couple of areas here with 4 systems in a row that could be a potential issue. Overall, we want to expand to here and here. So then we have a minimal amount of entryways within our space. We'll get to that later on. In addition, there's these 3 icons on the top. Those are our technology trees. Now, the technologies in Stellaris are randomly generated at the start of the game based on tiers. So you will not always get the same text at the start of the game. Hell, depending on your ethos, you may get different technologies altogether. So let's go and take a look at our research and take a look at what we have available to us. So, research is generated through points. So in this particular case, we need 125 tech points to unlock a piece of technology. Now those points are being listed at the top of the screen on this bar. There's physics, society, and engineering. Now, we have a couple of options already right at the start of the game. We have got a couple of great options. Administrative AI, plus 5% research speed is great at the start of the game. Why? Because research speed is always good to have. The earlier you get it, the more compound interest you get on your research later on. So let's go for this. Then society, we've got a couple of interesting options. Heritage Site, which is a upgrade for one of our base skill buildings. The Biolab 1, which is a research upgrade, which we don't necessarily need right now. And Planetary Unification, which gives us Unity, which we'll get into very shortly. Let's go for Planetary Unification for the plus 5 Unity bonus. Then Engineering. Engineering is basically everything involving your, your engineering, obviously. Anything involving engineering society, improving your hulls, improving your bases, that sort of thing. So right now, what do we get? We can get powered exoskeletons, Corvette hulls, which we don't necessarily need, and engineering facility 1. The better option here is powered exoskeletons because it gives us plus 5 minerals. And that's, plus 5% minerals. And once again, just like with the research AI, it means that is compound interest over time. So let's go and get that. It's going to take 60 months for the first one, 50 months, and 20 months. So we get a couple of bonuses here. Basically, the bonuses are generated based on the skill of our researcher and what sort of expertise that researcher has. So Huan Shen has an expertise in computing, which means that she will be able to get this particular tech a lot quicker. Then we got a Maniacal Researcher here. If we hover over here, it gives a bonus of 5%. The other Maniacal Researcher, also 5%. Now, as you notice, that the expertise causes a huge bonus on this research option. So what you want to do is make sure you have the right expertise on the right technology to go through that quicker to get to the next tech. Anyway, that is tech out of the way. Let's click that away. Let's go to Earth. Let's click on our planet in the outliner. There's this nice little button here that we can click open or use the hotkey O. And then go to the surface, because we're going to build our very first building, and it's probably going to be one of the most important buildings that we're going to be building in the game. Let's click on a tile. This tile generates 1 energy credit, which would be really useful. We're going to need to use that later on anyway, so we may need to do a little bit of rebuilding later on. However, for now, it's not really all that important. So let's click the tile. Let's go to the build button, or use our hotkey B. And our very first building in the game is going to be this one, the monument. It generates 2 unity. Now, unity is what we use in order to build up our tradition. So if you click up on towards the unity icon up here, currently we're getting 2. And once we've generated 14 of these, we'll be able to get one of our traditions up and running. And traditions are modifiers that are applied to your empire and basically allows you to specialize your empire. Once you've finished off an entire tree, you'll be able to go and get a Ascension Perk. Now, an Ascension Perk is a special bonus that basically transforms your empire in a certain direction. We'll get to that very soon once we've unlocked that. I 100% expect us to get at least 1 Ascension Perk during this session. Good, so let's close this, and let's go back to our solar system. Let's click on that. We can also hit M, of course, to go back and forth. And we see on the outliner that 1 building is being built. That is the monument. And we have a shipyard in the Sol system. We also have 3 corvettes. They are the Janissary class. That's what they look like. And we don't need to mess around too much with that so far. So that is a good thing. So, science ship. Let's select the science ship. The science ship is the only ship that can get into these systems that we do not know anything about. And we kind of need it to scout around, which is an interesting way of doing things. So, considering the amount of space we need to survey over time, we kind of want to speed up this process. So let's quickly click on Earth. Let's go to the Spaceport tab. And we currently do not... and click on a science ship. For a second there, I thought that the colony ship was the science ship. My apologies. So the science ship, we have spent just 100 minerals to build a fresh science ship, and it will be coming out of the production in 60 days. Now, the way the game works, it's a real-time, pausable strategy game. So what we can do now is hit the spacebar, and the game will start ticking down. Every single tick is a day in Stellaris, and it makes things really interesting over a long period of time, because obviously we're starting out in our own solar system, but eventually we will build this grand empire that will reach amongst the stars. So the ship is currently going, and I've wasted a little bit of time, 21 days to be specific. So let's go back towards the science ship that we already had, and then go down to here, to the survey button. Let's click that, and then we hit the shift key on our keyboards, and we select the system that we want to survey. We then click there, we keep shift held, and basically select the systems that we want to survey. Now, there's a couple of very interesting systems nearby. However, this area over here is far more interesting than anything else that is nearby. Why? Because this right here is a nebula. Now, nebula are particularly interesting because A, the space around it allows us to generate additional minerals, and B, we can get unique resources in those areas that spawn very frequently here. And those are basically listed here in our strategic resources. We currently don't have any, but there's a good chance that something will spawn in this area. So let's unpause and let's take it from there. Let's move around the stars and let's see where we go. So a spaceship, the way it moves is that when it jumps from one system to another, it will always need to traverse the next system and then use the jump point on the edges of the system to move towards the next area. So let's speed things up by hitting the plus button. And overall, I think things are going quite fine. It looks like our outer science ship is about to come off the production line. There it is. Let's pause the game as our other science ship is leaving the system. And as you can see, the science ship is currently sleeping. It's not doing anything because it cannot do anything. A science ship needs a leader in order to be operational. So we can click on the Assign Leader button and go to Recruit. Now, as you can see, we currently do not have enough energy to recruit a scientist. This is highly unfortunate. There are a couple of traits that allow us to get a scientist at 100 energy, which I was kind of hoping for, but sadly that is not the case. Right now we need to wait a couple of months in order to get additional resources. Resources we get a month are energy, minerals, food, influence, and unity. We get those every single month. Not by day, obviously. The day-by-day stuff is basically there to make sure that the game progresses over time. If the game would progress on a month-by-month basis, then it would be more like a pausable 4X game. Now, I know that you probably got this game based on the big 4X moniker, and at the start of the game, it is very much 4X. However, once we get towards the mid-game, the game will start to develop in something that is referred to as the grand strategy game, where everything becomes so massive that keeping track of everything becomes an incredibly big chore. So our science ship right now is in the Bernard star system. Okay, and Earth has finished its production queue, and a whole bunch of stuff just happened. Wow, a lot of stuff has happened right now. Let's pause the game, and as our science ship is just doing its science on this world, and let's take it from there. So this has popped up. That is the tradition, and also the production queue on Earth is finished, as the monument is done. But this button right here is very important. Let's click on it, because we're going to make our first big decision within the game. So, we have enough points to select a tradition. Or at least unlock a tradition tree. They come in 7 different flavors: the expansion tree, the domination tree, prosperity tree, harmony tree, supremacy tree, diplomacy tree, and discovery tree. Now, in general, you kind of want to tailor your trees based on the direction you want to go into. Do you want to go for full combat? Supremacy is the way to go. Do you want to have a prosperous economic powerhouse? Prosperity is the way to go. Do you want to control other empires, your vassals, and take it from there? Then domination is the way to go. Diplomacy, if you want to have a grand alliance. Do you want to spread it amongst the stars very quickly? Then expansion is the way to go. However, in our case, we want to go for discovery, and there's a good reason for this. As we go for discovery, the first thing that we get is a adoption effect, because we unlock the tree, just not one of the perks within the tree just yet. The adoption effect for the discovery tree is an anomaly fail risk reduction. Basically, as science ships traverse the galaxy and scan planets, they will find anomalies, and there's a chance that they may fail. So with discovery, considering this is the early game, it makes sense to go for this. And also, we have a bigger chance of finding new anomalies using this. And once again, considering we are in the discovery phase of the game, this is incredibly useful. So let's go and adopt this. It will cost us 14 unity. It detracts from our unity pool, and let's unpause the game because we may find an anomaly. And as he says, we find an anomaly. Apparently, we received a weak signal from the surface of the planet, and the source seems to be some sort of tracking beacon. Now, this is a molten world, which is one of the planet types within the game. I would not be surprised if this is going to give us a bunch of minerals right at the start of the game for us to mine, which would be a huge bonus. So let's go and click on research here. There's a 10% chance that it fails. The base failure risk is 20%, but once again, we have discovery traditions, which means that there is a smaller chance for it to fail, which is great. So let's research. The ship will turn around, and There we go. So this thing will automatically be added to the top of its queue, and it will automatically start surveying this. And there's also this little anomaly thing at the top where we can see our progress and how things are coming along. So very, very good stuff. Meanwhile, we still do not have enough energy for an additional science ship, which is a bit of a shame. But our construction ship, meanwhile, which is sitting in Seoul, is ready to build our first additional station. Now, a station within the game, its cost depends on two things. Either its base cost, which is 90, which is in this case, or whether or not our ruler, if we go to the government tab on the bottom right, has a bonus to building these stations in space. Then it goes down to around 67, I believe. But our ruler right now has a bonus to Empire mineral production, which means we get 10% minerals. Start of the game, not really all that great because 10% from 14 is pretty much nothing. It's 1. And it reduces our building cost due to the architectural sense that she has. Now, she's also president, which means that she will get re-chosen at some point. But let's select our construction ship and let's go to Mars, at least if that's the best option. I believe that is the best option. It's the highest minerals within our system. And let's build a construction ship. We do not need all that much energy from Saturn right now, which generates 3 energy. But that's going to work very well. And there we go. We got an ancient survey marker, just like I predicted. A short-range transmitter has been located on the surface, and we will get a large amount of precious metals spawned on this planet. So +4 spawns on Bernard Star. This is a huge deal. +4 minerals is a huge amount at the start of the game, and we want to control Bernard Star as soon as possible because of this. Now, we found another anomaly. So on Bernard Star 3, we found a Precursor Anomaly. Now, there are several Precursor Anomalies in the game, and you can get various versions like the Vuth Empire, the Voltum Star Assembly, which is the one that we have here, the Cybrex, as well as a couple of other ones. But basically, these are empires that have passed us long, long ago, and we need to find out what happened to them. And once we do, we will get a massive amount of unity as well as research. So that would be great. We have started the Voltom event chain, and the science ship will move on towards the next location. We've also found some remnants, remarkable. This is all fluff stuff, and it will basically keep the story going. Because the narrative in Stellaris is very much not set in stone. And it's something you want to keep your eye on when it comes to the game. We're going to put the USS Kelvin, which currently does not have a scientist on it. We're going to put him in a different location. We're going to put him just over here by the exit point, the jump point, so to speak. We'll be able to get a new scientist very soon, and then we can take it from there. And Bernard Star has been fully surveyed. Good. And that means that our science ship will move on towards the next jump point to move towards the next system. So Bernard Star so far, 2 energy is available here, as well as 4 minerals from our survey beacon, which is pretty good. And, well, the 4 energy isn't pretty nice as well, but it's not really the greatest thing in the world. Our construction ship has just finished the mining station. That is great. So let's move our construction ship in orbit. Actually, we don't need to put it in orbit. We can actually build a mining station straight away over Saturn. And that's going to give us energy. Now, in the meantime, a bunch of things just happened. First of all, the science ship, the UNS Kelvin, we can finally put a leader on her because we've got 200 energy, which is the amount of energy that we need in order to recruit a new scientist. Now, we got a couple of good options. We got a particle physicist as well as a new worlds expertise, but the best one right here is careful. It reduces the anomaly fail risk by another 10%. So right now, if you use the scientist on an anomaly, the anomaly fail risk will already be reduced by 20% in total. For 200 energy, this is great. Let's put that on there, and let's do the same thing like we did before. Let's hit the shift key, let's click the survey button, and then move her out into space in the opposite direction of our ship has moved. Now we've unlocked our first science, which gives us +5 unity, which is a great bonus, and it gives us additional edicts and or campaigns, and we will go into that a little bit later. It's not really critical right now. The monthly unity, however, is pretty huge because it gives us a massive amount of bonuses when it comes to finishing our tradition tree. So let's get some new research going. We can get a growth speed bonus, an army damage bonus, or a bonus to build a new building. We do not need this so far, so let's go for genome mapping. Let's get some growth speed. It also appears that we've finished our physics tree, which was the plus 5% science, and we have a couple of other options here. We can get improved deflectors, which is this is going to take us 26 months. Fusion reactor, 22 months, or colony development speed. Now, colony development speed is actually going to be very useful to us in the near future. But right now, actually colony development speed or improved deflectors. Let's go with improved deflectors, because there is an event that's going to come up very soon that we need to be able to counter. In the meantime, we also have a new tradition available in our discovery tree, and we can take the following. We can go for Boldly Go, where our survey ships survey faster, and they have better combat evasion. So if they find themselves in a pickle, they can get out of there very quickly. Or we can get Science Division, where we get more research alternatives. Remember when I said that the research tree is kind of randomized? Every single time you unlock a science, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the same sciences available like you had previously. So that is randomized as well. So the additional research alternatives will basically allow you to get a larger pool of potential sciences. However, considering we're still in the discovery phase of the game, to Boldly Go is definitely the one we want to go for. And in addition to that, in 3 months' time, we'll be able to get our next tradition anyway, which is going to be great. It's going to be really good to have that. Let's continue on pause. It looks like our survey ship has found a planet in the Sirius system that is a potential world to colonize in the very near future. Now, it's currently listed with this orange-like planet icon. That means that we have not surveyed it. We know it is there, but we don't know enough about it just yet. We don't know if it's habitable enough, whether or not if it has any special traits, etc. Sirius so far is looking to be a very good system. Its main star has 4 energy output, and Sirius 1 has got 2 minerals on it, which is rather good. So here we go. We have discovered Sirius. It's a continental world with a habitability of 90, which means it's perfect for our species. It also has 4 mineral output and a decent amount of tiles. So it has 24 tiles, which is the second highest you can get. 25 is the max, and this is a excellent candidate for near future colonization. The surface does have a rather large amount of tile blockers that are these tiles with the black and red boxes around them. That means that we cannot put anything in them. However, we can research technologies and then spend resources to remove them. Overall, the amount of resources here seems to be quite good. There's a lot of minerals, there's a lot of food, and more importantly, there's a lot of physics research, which we want. This looks like an excellent planet to colonize in the near future. However, space is big, and we may find ourselves some more worlds out there. In addition, we found ourselves another tradition. We can still go for Science Division if we want to. However, Planetary Survey Corps means that we can get research points based on 1/10 of our monthly gain when surveying planets. So for every single thing we survey, we get 1/10 of our monthly income. That is a huge bonus, and it will boost our science immensely. So we basically have got the bases down. So we got Boldly Go on the Discovery Tree, as well as Planetary Survey Corps. Now we can finish the remaining ones and go all the way down to Faith and Science, which is one of the best traditions in the game. And we will get to that as soon as we have a better eye on that. We finished our engineering research. We got 5+5 minerals percentage, as well as our army damage increases. We can get a robot, or we can get Corvette build speed. Robots are really good for mining, and that's why we're going to go and get them. Now, robots themselves, once we've unlocked the Robo Modding tech, basically we can specialize the robots, make them give them better tools and that sort of thing. Where are you going? You are in a very interesting direction, good sir. So let's send you down here and up in here. I'm not entirely sure why he did that. But in the meantime, we've got enough minerals. We got enough influence, one of the other resources in the tree. And we got another tradition. So let's go for Science Division to get those additional research points. And let's go to Bernard Star and spend some resources to expand our territory. So what we can do here, we can select our construction ship, go to the map mode, right-click on it, and build a starbase. This is going to cost us 100 minerals and 75 influence. Now, influence is something that I have not discussed yet. Influence is a base resource that can that we need to colonize new systems and make new claims on other species. Ooh, wow, another continental world, type 17. This is not a bad start at all. I may actually play this a little bit longer after I'm done with this tutorial. But still, our science ship is just moving along, getting into position into this system to do some more surveying. So far, this looks to be an excellent system as well. As our... Why exactly did you not finish doing surveying in Alpha Centauri? Interesting. I mean Sirius and then Alpha Centauri. So we know a lot about Sirius. We know that there is a planet in here, and we have surveyed quite a lot of it, but we have not actually seen a lot of it. So there's two types of exploration. There is surveying and actually seeing every single planet. And we can build an outpost in a system once we can see every single planet. So our construction ship is underway to the next system. There he goes. Onwards to the star. The blueprint is already laid out in space for us to set up. There we go. Excellent. In the meantime, we've got enough resources to take a look at Earth and see what we can do here. So on Earth, well, we got plus 16 minerals and plus 9 energy credits. So we got a bunch of options here. We can remove these tiles. These are all tile blockers, as we discussed before. Now, this is a plus 2 mineral tile blocker, and considering we have robots coming up, this seems like an excellent place to build yet another mine. In addition, considering we have a decent amount of mineral income as well as energy income, we may actually swap one of these pops around. A pop is one of these characters. They represent a certain amount of population, and get them to start working this unity tile. Basically, the monument generates unity. So growth speed has been increased, which is great. Off-World Trading Company is an excellent energy producer. Gene Clinic is also great for generating large amounts of science as well as unity, but we don't need it until our first colony is up and running. Biolab, let's actually go for Gene Clinic. It is one of the cheaper options. And once again, we have another tradition, Polytechnic Education, which means that our leaders will gain more experience. And by getting experience, they will be more efficient at their jobs or have better effects on the systems they are looking at. So, our science ship is standing by. Let's send him over to Alpha Centauri as well as this system. We don't know what's over there. Isval so far is proving to be an interesting system. There's a lot of asteroids here, which means there's a good potential of high minerals. The UNS Danube has finished its outpost, which means that we have now extended our territory, and it's time to jump over towards the next system. Let's claim Sirius. Now we get to the point where we talk about the cost of technology and how it increases based around how many systems and planets we own. Remember at the start of the game when we saw that slider saying, hey, how much cost influence do you want on your tech? Well, this is the reason why we took that slider all the way down. Let's go to technology and let's hover over the cost modifier right here. So right now, we control 2 systems. Getting 2 systems under control means that the additional science cost, as in the additional amount of points we need to spend, goes up by 2%. This basically means that the more systems you own and the more planets you own, the longer it's going to take to unlock certain sciences. So the reason why we put that slider all the way down is to make sure that you're going to be able to have a lot of fun and be able to expand your empire very quick and also go through the technology tree very quick as well. And we're about to get our first Ascension perk. So let's get Faith in Science, which unlocks a bonus to a technology called Assist Research, which we do not have yet. And look at our first Ascension perk. Now, Ascension perks are new to the base game in 2.0. And basically, it allows us to get a certain amount of special bonuses to our empire. We can go for, say, Interstellar Dominion, where our star-based influence costs, as in the small bases that we build in Bernard Star earlier, the cost for it goes down. We can go for Technological Ascendancy, where technology research speed goes up by 10%. One Vision, where our unity gets increased. Remember this one? Yeah, that will go up by 1 point if we would get this. It also has something called Government Ethics Attraction, and we'll go to that later. Mastery of Nature, which is a fascinating one. If you're playing with a lot of small planets, Mastery of Nature is great. Basically what happens is you get a little tick box, and basically they put a giant bicycle pump into the ground, start pumping, and all of a sudden your planet gets bigger. You have more tiles to work on. Imperial Prerogative, which generates more core sector systems, that is listed over here. That's the amount of systems that we can control directly before we have to go into a system called sectors, and we'll go into that later on in a different episode. Executive Vigor, Edict Duration. Edicts are special bonuses that last a certain amount of time. With Executive Vigor, they last twice as much, and we pay for that in Influence. Or Shared Destiny, which is subject integration, influence cost, but we don't have any subjects. So right now, Technological Ascendancy seems to be the perfect option. We also have another technology. Assist Research would be good, or Capacity Overload. Maybe Blue Lasers, or let's go for Physics Lab. It's nice and cheap. So we just unlock shields, right? So let's go into F10. Let's go to this little tick box, or F10, or hit Shift Designer. And we are now on the Ship Designer screen. This is where we are going to be designing all of our ships and what they look like. Now, considering we just got improved deflectors, we got auto-generated designs on, which means that they will automatically upgrade to the best possible design, at least as the game is concerned. And basically, our ships will be upgraded as such. At least we have the option to upgrade them. So let's just get out of this menu because this is all ready to go. So we found something in Alpha Centauri, a sign of an ancient precursor civilization on its inhospitable rock. Remember when we were in Sirius? When we found that ancient precursor civilization item? Well, this is a follow-up to that. We unlocked the Gene Clinic, which is going to allow for some great growth. Alpha Trading Company would be good, but I kind of want to go for Adaptive Bureaucracy, because having more leaders in our empire would be great. And also, the leader pool size increases, so we have more options to pick leaders. There is Machine Templating, which is the Robo Modding system. It's an instant click. It's one of the best systems in the game, and we're going to use that to generate robots. So let's move one population over here, and then we click on the tile and go to Build a Pop. Build a robot. It will cost us 100 minerals, and it costs us 1 energy a month to upkeep. So let's click on that, and the robot will be built. Let's go onto this tile that we unlocked earlier. Let's build a mining network on there, and let's build another robot. So now we have 2 robots being built, and robots are specialists when it comes to getting minerals out of the ground. They will generate a bonus for that. So we're going to build a robot on this as well, but now we're starting to get at the point where energy is becoming a little bit more critical. So let's remove this tile, and we're going to build a energy lab over here, or an energy plant, then move this this pop over there, and then build another robot there for the bonuses. So we found a trade post. That's great. Another step into our science. Let's go to Alpha Centauri and survey it. Now survey, let's take a look here. So we are looking to build this station. I think it is done. Good. So we've taken another piece of territory, and we're expanding quite rapidly now. Now we have the option to build stations in space in either Bernard Star or Sirius. Now Sirius is most likely the better option because it has 4 energy and 4 minerals in space, whereas Bernard Star has also 4 minerals but only 2 energy in space. Right now we are basically about to drown in minerals. However, we're going to build our station in Bernard Star, and I will tell you why. Because an event is going to come up soon, which is going to spawn pirates. And we do not want to have to move our fleet all the way across our small but already very explorative empire, and basically lose our stations before they can get there. Thankfully, the station is nearby the actual resource, so we can have a bunch of things there. Now, meanwhile, on our screen, we see that this fleet can be upgraded. There's a small arrow on the military item. So we can actually spend 21 minerals to set up our ships with the improved shields. We can see the ship details by clicking on this little item over here. We can see right now that we got small deflectors. We can improve that to better deflectors. Improved deflectors, if you will. So let's click on that. Sol Starbase has finished its queue, which means that our fleet has been upgraded. We can right-click on the fleet to go to it, and that's where our 3 corvettes are. They've got new shields. They'll be better equipped for the danger that is about to come. Another precursor civilization has been popped up, this time in Alpha Centauri 3, which is the planet that we want to colonize in the near future. So let's research that. We've unlocked a physics lab. Combat rolls is nice. Power plant we do not need right now. Colony development speed, however, we had the option earlier. Let's go for it now, because we are on the cusp of getting our first colony. We have another tradition available. So let's pause the game. So we finished our discovery tree only 4 years into the game. That's why I built a monument earlier on. You want to get that discovery tree out as soon as you can, before your empire sprawls to the point where it takes forever to get new traditions. As you can see, we started out with only 14 costs. It's now already 140. The more tradition categories we get, the more traditions we have, the higher the cost is going to be. So right now it's 140. So what do we want to do next? Expansion does seem to be very good. We haven't made any first contact yet, so expansion seems to be fine, because capital buildings producing 1 additional unity sounds good, and Starblaze influence costs being reduced as well, and this one right here, courier network, which reduces the tradition cost for new traditions based on the amount of colonies. Basically, if you have a large amount of planets, this one right here will reduce the amount of influence unity that you need in order to get the next tradition. So let's get expansion. We get a unlock bonus, so our colonies will develop twice as fast, 100% bonus. One of our leader has leveled. They have worked really hard. They've eaten all their vegetables and drank all their juice. And they've managed to level up, which is exciting, because now they're going to be better at doing the science. Now they have a plus 44% bonus. And that's also because the administrative AI technology that we did before, we finished the Discovery Traditions tree, which gives a 10% bonus to research speed. Technological Ascendancy, which we also picked, which gives a 10% bonus. And on top of that, the skill, which is the 2-star bonus from this scientist, is going to boost their science through the atmosphere. And that is exciting stuff right there. Being able to make very specific decisions at the start of the game, which allows you to very quickly grow into the direction you want to. Hell, if we were going down a supremacy tree, we could have had a giant fleet by now. He says giant relatively to the point of the game. We got a couple of leaders that are upgrading right now. They're all getting second tier, which is great. Alpha Centauri is being researched. This system, this one is also an Alpha Centauri. And that means that they are almost done with their queues when it comes to the science. Now, this trade post we can't do anything about just yet. We found yet another Voltum artifact. Now, the thing that I'm worried about right now is, considering there is still a special project on this particular planet, it means that we cannot colonize it yet until we have removed it. The problem with that is we need a scientist with a skill of 5 or higher, which means that this is going to take some time. Now, we're here on the situation log where all of our current quote-unquote situations and current goals are set. And yeah, we currently have a miner mandate, which means that we can get a certain amount of unity if we build enough mining stations, which is a great thing to do. So we need 2 more mining stations, which we're going to do here in Bernard Star. We're going to actually queue up the next one very shortly. We got adaptive bureaucracy, which means we can get more leaders. And now it's time to go for the heritage site. Also, food is becoming a bit of an issue potentially as well. So our governor is leveled up. Now, governors I haven't talked about yet. Governors are the leaders that control all of the planets in a sector or in your core systems. Now, core systems are these ones. Like I said before, these are the maximum amount of planets that you can directly control. You can get an Ascension Perk to crank that up to 8. It also depends completely on your starting ethics. For instance, if you're pacifist, I believe you get +2. I'm not entirely sure. But it's basically, if you want to min-max all your planets, you can totally do that by cranking this up. Our leader, however, is giving certain bonuses to the population over these planets in the outliner. So it gives a bonus to resource production, building speed, and blocker time removal as well. Excellent. So this energy is here. Let's build the power plant on there. We also need more food. So let's clear this tile. I'm going to speed things up a little bit now that we're starting to get into the swing of things. Excuse me. And we can build a trading hub maybe if we want to get some more energy. But so far, I think we're in a really good spot at the start of the game. So what is our next goal? Well, our next goal is to A, increase the size of our fleet, and B, colonize Sirius 3. Now, what do we need to colonize Sirius 3? Well, we can go to the planetary summary at the bottom left of the screen. And there's this big old colonize button. And basically, we can send a colony ship out, and it's going to cost us 300 minerals. And that's a lot of minerals at this stage of the game. I'm not going to lie, especially considering we're only getting 14 a month, which is a not so insignificant amount of resources. If we go to this tab and we go to the expansion planner, we get to this menu. Now, these are all the planets that we know of that we can colonize. This is the distance. This is the size of the planet. Mars is in our own solar system, but we can't colonize it yet because it needs to be terraformed. More about that at some future episode. And Sirius is a size 24, which is great. Look at all the resources here. 11 food. Energy, it's a little bit less, but 16 minerals and a huge amount of science. Alpha Centauri is also not bad at all. 4 food potential here, 6 energy, 3 minerals, and 7 science in various categories. We're going to be drowning in physics research if we're going to take these worlds. However, if we take these 2 additional worlds, we're going to be at our directly controlled fleet cap, which is something that we want to be careful about. So let's survey some more. Let's find out. Let's go towards this nebula over here. Maybe we can find a large planet that we can colonize over here and get all the cool resources from that. Meanwhile, our other science ship, level 2. Let's do the same thing again. Let's survey, and let's go up the arm, and let's see what we can find. What sort of exciting things can we find in the arm? What sort of anomalies can we find? What sort of discoveries can we get? And this is, for me, is one of the most exciting parts of the game. Trying to figure out what is out there. What can we get? And what sort of steps can we take in order to get on top comparatively to those Xenos that are lurking in the dark out there? And we know they're there anyway. But yeah, as we set this one up, we are currently 5 years into the game. We're going to go for 10 more months because I want to cover the first 6 years of the game, and then we will wrap up the episode from there on. And I hope that you will have learned something. Because Stellaris 2.0 is a very, very different beast from the previous iteration of the game. And learning is fun, right? This is why we are here. We want to learn on how to do things, and maybe you found something where you're thinking by yourself, hey, I did not know that was possible. I did not know that was a good way of doing things. Well, if that is the case, if there's even one of you out there that has that experience, that makes this all worth it. Let's quickly take a look at Earth. Let's hope that tile blocker is gone already. No, we still have that tile blocker because we got +1 food. Well, if we go into food issues, then we may have some problems. So the thing with the food is, we can actually do this right now before the thing ticks over. What's this? Ooh, science. Heritage site is nice. Biolab. Well, so okay. So we're talking about food, and we have the opportunity to get Hydroponics Farm 2. Should we or should we not? And this is a very difficult question to ask. Should you go for the second-tier buildings this early on? For me, that's a resounding no. Always get the resources in space first before you go with planetary upgrades. If you need to, if you're in a pinch, if you're thinking by yourself, I need more energy, I need more minerals, then yes, sure, go for it. But space resources are always worth it more because of the costs involved in them. So let's go for Biolab 1 or Off-World Trading Company. Off-World Trading Company is great because it gives us a building inside of our space hold. Now, all of the planetary and solar system related items are held in here, and we're going to be talking about that in a future episode where we go deeper into how shipyards work, how deep space stations work, and how they impact your empire and on a grand scale. Okay, so our construction ship right now, it's a little bit on standby. We don't want to do too much with it. Ooh, we got another tradition. And we can get expansion, which means our capital buildings will produce additional unity. And ooh, a new life is also very good because we get an additional pop, a free pop that does not need to grow if we can get a colony down. And now we do want to get that as well as Courier Network. But then again, Reach for the Stars is also really good. Let's considering our current situation, let's go for Colonial Fever and then go for a new life. Our next one is up in 17 months. We're not going to get our colony down by then anyway, so it's not the end of the world. There's our colony development speed that we talked about earlier. Automatic exploration. If you feel that you are completely bored by this stage of the game and you just want to explore, then automatic exploration is great. You can just click the button, boom, they're off. They'll do their own thing. You just need to click on the anomaly button every once in a while. But for me, automatic exploration is something that I'll do in the middle of the game when I'm too busy managing my empire. But automatic exploration right now is not necessary. Assist research is another one. It's too early in the game to go for it. It's incredibly useful. Don't get me wrong. It's incredibly good. But right now we need lasers because we want to shoot blue lights at our enemies that are coming soon. Ceramo metal armor, just to get a little bit of additional armor on our ship would be good. And on top of that, we've got some Robo Modding to do. And welcome to the species screen. Let's pause the game quickly. We're going to mod our robots. So our robots, they've got these points. We got a trait point remaining. And that means that we can upgrade our robots to something new, something fresh. So let's create a template whilst we have the robot selected. Let's go and create a robot. And this is going to be Minerbot. Minerbot. You know, for all the mining. And we can add any of these traits to the robot. Now, what we want, considering we're going to go for Mining Bot, we can use Power Drills, which gives a bonus to minerals, plus 10%. We kind of only want to put these guys on mines, and that's pretty much it. And then we can also put the same thing for harvesters if we want robots for food. The same thing for energy. You kind of not want to do robots earlier on energy because it gives a huge malus. Double jointed, we don't need resettlement cost. Superconductive energy credits is always good. My apologies. Efficient process is robot upkeep, which means they cost less over time. Durable, which means that they are a reduction in consumer goods. And mass produced, they are cheaper to build. And finally, propaganda machines, unity output, which is basically if you want to put them on a other thing. Basically, we're building an entire subspecies. Let's build a new robot with a miner. Let's create this template. So we got 2 robots already. We do not want to convert the old robots to the new type of robots just yet because it's going to be incredibly expensive and we don't really have the resources for that, sadly. So, 205 minerals. We are currently 2 months away from the year 2206. We found another precursor civilization. This is crazy. Normally, you don't find precursor stuff this early together at all. Procyon has been completely surveyed. Alpha Centauri, as well as Pavag, has several special projects on it. We're almost there. Almost there. Okay, 1 more month. Tell you what, we'll build that colony ship towards Sirius. I'll illustrate how that works, and then we'll wrap up the episodes. It's maybe going to add like 3 additional months of in-game time. I don't think we need to be too worried about it at all. We found an observatory. This is all fluff. If you want to get into the lore, just read it, have some fun. There's thousands of lines of stuff going on. I am aware that our colony ship is currently, or at least our construction ship is currently on standby as we're waiting on getting enough minerals. We don't want to really spend money right now on additional stuff. Impressive Structures have a small area on Panosta 5, begging for archaeological work. So we may have found a second tier thing. So our researcher is tier 2 right now, and the anomaly fail risk, the base risk is 20. But because she is a higher level and also careful, and on top of that we have got discovery traditions, this is only going to be a 5% fail risk. It does not go lower than that. Previously, you could go down to 0 and basically you would have a free anomaly, but there's still a 5% chance this can go horribly wrong. Because this is archaeological work, right? So, I guess stuff can fall on you. Rocks fall, everybody dies, that sort of thing. Cool, so that is running. We are currently 4 months into the new thing. Let's go to Sirius, because it's time to start our very first colony. Let's go to Planetary Survey. Let's colonize. Let's go to this button. Let's go to Earth. Let's hit the colonize button. And now we get to the most crucial decision when it comes to colonizing our very first world. Where are we going to put our capital building? Now, every single tile on this planet is interesting. Don't get me wrong. However, any building that is set around the capital building will get a bonus in a cross shape. So like this. Earth right now has it as well. So what is important here is that it only applies to energy, minerals, and food. Science does not get any additional bonuses out of this. So, with that in mind, what is the best place on this planet to put the outpost? Well, first of all, don't put it on the edges. The edges is generally bad. You want to get maximum bonuses out of your capital building. So what does that leave? Well, there is a couple of very interesting spots. However, the one with the biggest bonuses, the biggest potential bonuses, is this tile right here. Sure, 3 of the surrounding blocks are currently blocked by these mountains and a volcano. However, we can easily sacrifice 1 physics research for a massive amount of minerals and also some food. And in all honesty, there's more than enough physics on this world. So let's put it down here and let's give this planet a cool name. And there we go. Our colony ship is on its way, and it will colonize Sirius as our very first world, as the first step of the United Nations of Earth to take its place amongst the stars. And that right there is your first 6 years in Stellaris on how to play the basic elements of the game. In the future, we're going to be elaborating even more on the mechanics involved with this particular game. How to expand, how to deal with alien races, how to deal with first contact, to finish off those precursor civilization chains. There is so much to talk about, and it's going to be a journey of learning. And on that bombshell, I hope that you've learned something today. And like I said, even if there is one of you out there that thinks, wow, I did not know that. That's really cool. Then I am happy. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel that this is cool, give it a like. And if you're new here and you want to see more Stellaris content, there's an entire channel full of it. Give it a subscribe. We're here to go on a journey together and learn. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take good care of yourselves and, as always, each other.